So I was gonna say the same thing that the amount of messages that I used to be a pretty like fast replier, like I would just reply to things right away just to get it out of the way. But now it's like a task at this point. It's like it's a chore that you have to complete. I don't know, that's my opinion. If anyone else wants to talk about how the pandemic affected them, they can.
Oh my God, wait, I have something to say. Because even like before COVID, I was already a bad texter. And now with COVID, it's like done. Like my phone is so dry. Like I only have like one text message. And that's from like Inkita or Hug like for Huggin. That's like for the project. That's it. Other than that, it's like dead. Nothing.
Oh no. Oh my gosh, you need to reach out to your schoolmates and your classmates a little bit.
I know, I try to, but it's just so hard. It's because like or even like before, I was already like done, but now it's just even more. It's like worse. So
I think
are you an introvert?
I would say I am. I don't know. Like I think okay, the way I'm describing it, yeah, I think I am.
You're not. She's not. She's lying.
Way to stick up for your friend.
Yeah.
Navrupam, you were saying something.
Yeah, I think I can relate to Jessica in terms of like, I'm not that good at texting people. So I know during the pandemic, a lot of people are like, oh my God, why aren't you replying? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't, like, it's hard to like see everything.
I feel honored that I got Navrupam's attention when during the pandemic, because like I reached out to her for starting this organization and I was like, you replied to me, this is the greatest thing.
Wow.
That's because I was interested in that time. Like I know during the pandemic, like even before, I actually didn't use like my phone a lot to like message people and everything. But I think during the pandemic, it was like I had to do that, otherwise I'd lose contact with everyone. And I think there were like one or two people that I did end up losing contact with, but we eventually reconnected after like school started.
Wow. It's tough, man. Like humans are social animals, and like, I mean, so if you're not too keen on texting, then how do you communicate with people? Like, what's your preferred method of communication?
I mean, I think we just kind of have to adapt to texting if you're online. Like there's like really nothing else you can do other than like call people maybe, but like no one really calls people right now. Like I know people FaceTime each other a lot, which is kind of nice, but texting is like, I would say, the main way of communicating. So I guess you just have to adapt to that. And I think during the pandemic, I think Ankita would be like agree to me as well, that I think I got better at replying to people and like keeping in touch with people after a while.
It's like a wave, right? Like you get productive and then you're like, screw this. And then you go back up and you're like,
Yeah, that's another thing. Like you have to maintain a schedule. Otherwise, like you don't feel like doing anything when you're at home. Like you have to like push yourself, like, no, I have to get this done today. I'm going to do this. And then you have to get it done. Otherwise, it's like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. That's why, like, even when we had online school, like I had to drag myself to my desk so I don't fall asleep in my bed. So yeah, I would say that's for me personally. I think everyone else would agree.
Yeah, it's hard to motivate yourself, right? Especially when, you know, at such a young age, you're still, trying to find discipline and still obviously listening to parents and teachers and looking for guidance and what your future journey is going to be, and like to motivate yourself to do just the daily stuff. It's kind of hard. I myself, I have a huge whiteboard and I write my daily top 3 things that I want to get done for the day onto that whiteboard. And I cannot begin to tell you how good it feels when I put a check mark beside those things. Say, all right, I've done this. And that's literally what motivates me some days is my checklist on my big ass whiteboard.
That's actually a really good strategy, because I remember I used to do that on my whiteboard. I still do. I make a task list for like the whole week, or maybe like just one day, and then I write all the meetings I have during the whole week. And then just like checking it off every night, that feels so good, because it actually feels like you got something done during the day and you weren't just like lying around and doing nothing. So yeah, I guess that's like a really good way to keep yourself organized.
Yeah, it's an incentive. It's an incentive for you to get better, to be more productive. I remember, I don't know why I did this, but I found it amusing. I used to record myself working, like a time lapse, and then I would watch the time lapse. And I don't know why, it just made me feel so good about myself that it made me want to work even more, so that the time lapse looks more productive. And so I don't know, that was just a cool thing I did. I stopped because I don't have storage, but But yeah, it was a good incentive. So I would recommend trying that out.
That's really cool. And like a time lapse, it would basically be like somebody's watching you, so you have to,
You have to do
work,
it.
but
Yeah.
it's yourself watching you, right? So you're holding yourself accountable. That's actually a really, really ingenious idea.
Also,
I'm gonna
your
try that.
phone is the one that's recording you, so you can't go on your phone.
I've like multiple phones, so
Oh.
that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you guys should definitely try that out. We'll get started with the webinar today. I know we like cut a few minutes, but it's okay. That was a very thoughtful conversation that we had. So hello, everyone. My name is Ankita. I am one of the co-founders of Project Millionaire Canada. Welcome to our 5th event for the Career Expo. I'm very glad to have Iqra Khalid with us today. I'm so grateful that this Career Expo has been very successful, helping you guys understand what career you want to go into. And these panelists have a very thoughtful and meaningful advice for you guys. So I hope this event goes the same way as well.
All right, so hi everyone. My name's Nivrupam and I'm the other co-founder of PMC. Firstly, I'd like to thank you all for being here today and taking the time out of your day to join our webinar. And I hope everyone learns a lot about this career through our event today.
Awesome. So we will now hand it over to our amazing hosts for today to take care of the rest of the event.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hargan, and I'm a general member here at Project Millionaire Canada, and I will be one of the hosts for today's event.
Hey guys, my name is Jessica and I'm also a general member here at PMC, and we know how confusing it might be to choose the right path for yourself. So today we have Iqra Khalid, the MP for Mississauga-Erin Mills, to help you learn more about this developing career in the field of law and politics.
Let's start off with a little introduction about the career itself. The career in the law field is one of the most important industries and jobs in the world. With the market being competitive, its growth has increased and is expected to grow. Iqra has built her way up to becoming the MP for Mississauga-Erin Mills, a member of the International Human Rights Subcommittee, the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, chair of the Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights, and chair of the Women's Caucus. Over the last 6 years, she has advocated for issues including childcare, seniors, women's rights, and federal action on racism and religious discrimination.
In 2017, she introduced a non-binding motion M103, successfully advocating in 2017 for the federal government to condemn Islamophobia and all forms of systemic racism and religious discrimination. She sponsored a petition from Erin Mills to the House of Commons, successfully calling on the federal government to appoint a minister for seniors. She advocated for national childcare as the chair of the All-Party Women's Caucus. Our federal government introduced a plan for national $10 a day childcare in budget 2021, and today 11 provinces and territories signed on to deliver affordable childcare services within the next 5 years.
Wow, that's a lot of amazing work. Now, finally, let me introduce you to our wonderful panelist, Ms. Khalid. Ms. Khalid, if you would like to introduce yourself and give some more background information, feel free to do so, please.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? It's been such a wonderful event so far. Getting to know the founders, Hargun, Jessica, our host today, Navrupam, Ankita for bringing about this wonderful organization. You know what? When I first arrived in Canada, I was 12 years old. Young, brown, fresh off the plane, and wanting to really find a place in my new home. And as I went through high school, I wanted to be a journalist. That was my thing. And so I went to school for criminology and professional writing because it was, I was going to be a journalist. And that was after, throughout my childhood, listening to my mom telling me how I wanted to be a doctor. And so after I finished university, I tried to enter into the field of journalism. Didn't really work out for me too much. I realized that journalists don't make a lot unless, you're very good and you're very tenacious and you get that big break. And So I started working in an immigration firm, and that's where I really fell in love with the law. I took my LSATs. I worked at this firm for about a year and a half, 2 years, learned kind of how immigration law works. And then I went to law school. And when I came out of law school, I've always had this thing where I volunteer a lot. Since I was 12 years old to now, I still spend a lot of time volunteering in the community, whether it's food banks, shelters, library, art galleries, all of that. I realized I was working in the city of Mississauga and their legal department, working on development law, real estate law, doing civil litigation, getting up and fighting in court, which is really awesome experience, by the way. And then realizing that I wanted to do a little bit more. And that's when I stepped into politics. And now, as a third-time elected member of Parliament for our House of Commons in our Parliament for the Liberal Party, I realized that your careers and what your jobs are always changing. They're always evolving. I know where I started off as a child wanting to be a doctor, then going to a journalist, then going to become a lawyer, then now as a member of Parliament. I think the best thing that I can give as advice to our participants here today is to really understand that your mind has to always be flexible, and you always have to have that key ability to invest in yourself and your own personal development so that you are flexible and malleable to what you want to do in the day. And there are key objectives that I want to achieve, and they have nothing to do with what my title is, where I work. Those are things that I will keep on doing throughout my life, giving back to our community. So I always hesitate to tell people to box yourself into one career and stick to it, especially 17-year-olds. You have your whole life ahead of you. And the last thing I'll say that's really helped me is to have some really good mentors, people that coach you, that are able to share their own life experience with you, so that you can learn from their mistakes and not have to make the mistakes yourselves. Which is not wrong. Making mistakes is part of life and part of development. But having good mentors really helps you along the way and keeps your motivation level high in terms of where you want to go, and helps clarity of thought in where you need to be as well. So I'll stop there, and I know that we have some really good questions, and looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with the being flexible with your mind, is because especially in like the new economy, we always have to, like, there's always new opportunities and stuff, and we always need to be open to new opportunities. Well, yeah. Yeah, so before we get started, I just wanted to set a few ground rules. So please keep in mind that this session is supposed to be 30 minutes. It's supposed to last 30 minutes. So we'll stop taking questions and answering them after 7:05 or at latest 7:10. So now all questions will be answered because our panelist has her own unique experiences. So she'll be answering them based on that. You may all start putting your questions in the chat and we can get started. We would suggest avoiding turning on your mic, as there may be a lot of confusion when multiple people are speaking at the same time. So if we are answering the question, you have to put it in the chat. You can turn on your mic at that point, and you can also raise your hand and then turn your mic on as we call on you. We would highly encourage this option as you have a chance to network with Ms. Khalid. And if you would like to turn your camera on, please feel free to do so. We highly encourage it. And we will wait 2 minutes for everybody to come in, and then we'll start.
And also, Ms. Khalid, you may also look in the chat, and if there are any questions you see that you want to answer, please feel free to go ahead. And reminder, this is a live Q&A, so this is the time to ask whatever you are doubtful about. Please also stay until the end of the event, as we will be announcing how our giveaway will work. And follow us on all social media platforms to see who the winner will be. And I believe the link was just put in the chat.
Yeah, we're starting to get some questions in, or one. Yeah, so another question, a question from Saiba is, what inspired you to choose this career path?
It was my dad. I remember when I had just graduated from York University with a double major, criminology, professional writing. I remember my dad and I were sitting in the living room, and he said to me, and I was involved in all types of student politics. I was a very very active person. And, I was the kind of person that barely went to class, but did a lot of all of the extracurriculars, protest signs in my hand and raising money for this and helping that organization, et cetera, et cetera. And my dad had caught wind of all of the activism work I was doing on campus, and he sat me down and he said, Iqra, I think you need to go into politics. And I was like, no, Baba, you have 3 sons. Why don't you tell them to go into politics? And I'm going to keep doing this. Fast forward 9 years after I had completed law school and I was working for the city of Mississauga, my dad sits me down again and he said, it's time for you to step into politics. And this time I took him seriously because I remembered our conversation, and for him to have remembered it also, it was a very unique experience. But really, it was my dad, and I think my journey as a first-generation immigrant, having come from lower middle class and kind of seeing all of these people that I was volunteering for, all these people that I was helping, that I just needed that nudge, and my dad really pushed me into it, and I'm forever grateful to him for doing that. I think Ankita says, what kind of struggles have you faced in your career? Look, I'm a young brown Muslim woman, a first-generation immigrant. You can anticipate a lot of what I faced. I remember when I first started running for nomination and talking to a lot of our community members, the number one question was, you're 28 years old. What makes you think that you'll be able to represent us? You're too young. You have no experience. You're a woman. Go get married, have kids. Leave the politics to the serious people. But those were all of the reasons why I felt like I should be at the decision-making table. And one thing that I feel that women politicians go through a lot more, and especially racialized women in any profession go through a lot, is online hate and targeting. And that's something that I've promised myself that I will make sure that we strengthen our legislation around it. And after 2 years of hard work and reports on this, we're finally ready to table legislation that will criminalize discrimination and targeting of racialized people, of individuals online, and to create a civil remedy. So I'm really excited about that because I feel that more and more people like me need to be in this role that I'm in. But the more that we band together, the less our struggles feel like struggles, and the more they feel like challenges only to be overcome, which is the best part of Eye of the Tiger kind of mentality always. Sabiha asks, so Sabiha asks, what advice do you have for youth that are struggling to choose the right career path? Sabiha, there's no rush to choose a career path. As I said in my introduction, I was told I had to be a doctor, and I wanted to be a journalist, and I was going to be a lawyer, and now I'm a politician. Ultimately, I think your career path should really be focused on what you're passionate about. For me, it's always been public service and social justice. And somebody, for example, if you're interested in making breakthroughs in the STEM field, that would be a career objective, and what you do to get to that objective would be very different from what your job or your career path traditionally would be. Always listen to yourself. My instincts are sharp because I listen to my gut feeling. When that gut starts rumbling, it's not because she's hungry, it's because there's something off. So always pay attention, and that's why mentors are so important also, is that what you don't know, you can always rely on your mentors and, like your parents, your close friends, to help guide you through those difficult decisions, and understand that there's no path that you can take that you can't come back from, that you can't get off of. Nothing is finite, like I have a Juris Doctorate. That doesn't mean I'm bound to only practicing law. I'm not practicing law currently, but I have that under my belt. So just understand that your choices are infinite. The key thing is to recognize what you're really passionate about and find the best ways to just ignite your passions through that. And I know that sounds vague and cliche, but Trust me, when you're sitting where I am after years and years and years of struggle, it's really what you're passionate about is what keeps you going. It's what motivates you to get out of bed every single day. And I don't want you to be in a dead-end job where, you give into society's pressures and say, okay, this is what I need to be doing. Think about what you want to be doing. Ankita says, what does a normal day in the life look like for you? I usually no 2 days look alike. When I'm in Parliament, obviously there's debates, there's a question period, there's meetings with stakeholders, there's meetings with lobbyists, talking about policy, about how, about laws, how do we advocate for certain laws, how do we build certain laws based on the issues that we're hearing in our constituency. When I'm here in the writing, I'm doing individual casework. We're helping constituents that are struggling through immigration or their taxes or their pensions or their student loans, advocating for them on an individual basis and resolving their issues, or having awesome conversations like this, or going to community events and meeting with stakeholders in our writing to hear about the issues, knocking on doors. I feel like my job is not really a job, it's more of a lifestyle. I'm on call 24/7. I work 7 days a week. And it never feels like work because I just absolutely love what I do every single day. Navrupam says, what advice would you give to students who are looking forward to pursue a career in your field? Volunteer, and find some friends that are also in politics, and then volunteer some more. I think one of the most successful traits of a politician is one that cares to do something as opposed to be something. Fancy titles come and go, but your inner desire to do something positive for your society is what will make you a successful politician. I started my career with volunteering. I volunteered everywhere. If something interested me, I would just go and spend a couple of hours doing it. And it really helped me to build relationships, to network, and to find like-minded people. In fact, when I, first ran in 2015, it was because a fellow candidate who I had campaigned for in the past just knocked on doors for at the grassroots level. I was able to reach out to him to say, hey, I'm thinking about running. How about you give me some advice? So really, volunteering is key to politics because it's really about public service and what you want to do rather than what you want to be.
So since you're involved with like law and politics, right? So when being involved with politics, there comes a lot of criticism. So how do you deal with that on a daily basis?
Look, I am a public official, public servant, and I never take criticism personally because it's not meant to be personal. It is not, it's always best to take criticism with 2 open ears and listen, and think about what the other person is saying and what they're not saying in terms of how you yourself, conduct yourself. Obviously, there are some people that are just out there to criticize for the sake of criticism, but don't ever block out the criticism because I feel that's what makes you become a better person. The day that I start surrounding myself by yes men is the day that I will fail, in what I want to achieve and what I want to do. Criticism hurts. Thick skin is important for sure. But I think the only way to get the thick skin is by having an open mind and giving validity to criticism before you say, oh no, this is not valid, this is valid. Okay, I'm going to take this as advice. I'm going to discard that as, into the garbage can and never look at that again. Criticism is important, I think, in our line of work. It's the democratic way for our constituents to let us know how they're feeling about the work that we're doing. And it's the only way that we can kind of shape what we're doing according to what our constituents want. So criticism is absolutely important. Where was I? Now, who's next? Somebody help me out here.
What advice would you give to students who are looking forward to pursue a career in your field?
Oh, I think I just answered that one with volunteering.
Yes,
Yes. So
next
the next
one
one,
is
yeah,
there
go
a
ahead.
platform? Sorry, do you want to go ahead?
Go ahead.
Is there a platform wherein one can get information on selecting a career path? For example, if one opts for a particular program, where it would lead and what are the prospects?
Parampreet, that's a really good question. I know that there are guidance counselors in high schools that kind of guide you through that. I also know that like there are other agencies talking to professionals, in which career you're potentially wanting to go into is really helpful and insightful. And like I said, volunteering is key, whether it's in the business sector or in an accounting firm, in a law firm, whatever it is that you're interested in. Don't ever hesitate to cold call and say, hey, you know what? I'm considering this as a career. How about you give me a 3-month internship at your office or a 1-month internship? Let me take a look and see if this is what is right for me. I think just putting yourself out there is it's important. It'll help you understand who you are a lot better and help you have new experiences that will open your own horizons as well. I see Javier has his hand up.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Okay, as someone who's studied law in Canada, is there any pre-law course that you would recommend? And as you said yourself, you studied criminology. How did that sort of play out going into law school?
So criminology was really important to me. I mean, and I still use some of what I learned in my criminology undergrad as I was the chair of the Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights. So I deal a lot with the criminal justice system. It was important. But one thing that I say to students who are wanting to pursue law and looking for what pre-law system or school they should program they should be enrolling into. If you know that you want to go and apply for law schools, your number will work backwards. You need to have a significantly high GPA and you need to score well on your LSATs. And if there's nothing that you're really passionate about learning within what programs are available in your university, then I would recommend you pick the easiest stuff so that it could really boost and keep your GPA at a high. Like I've seen a lot of people take some really crazy, stupid courses that they really don't need, and then ultimately not being able to get a good enough GPA to go to law school. So if you know that that's where you want to end up, then work backwards and take the courses that are fun, that are light, that you know that you're going to do really well in, and keep that GPA really, really high.
Thank you.
Thank you, JB. That was a good question. Sahiba asks, if you don't mind me asking, what is your ethnicity? I was born in Pakistan, Sahiba. I was born in a small town called Bahawalpur. And my family is from Punjab, in the south of Punjab, a small town called Rahim Yar Khan. My dad was a professor at Islamia University in Bahawalpur before we moved to England, where my dad did his PhD and then ultimately immigrated to Canada. That's kind of what my ethnicity is. Khushi asks, how did you overcome your struggles? Is there anything you wished you knew before you decided to go into law? Good question. You know what? I have 3 brothers. So my life has always been just, friendly conflict throughout my life. Like we play fight, I can play sports out with them, and I always know that they have my back. My parents, despite me being an only girl, have always referred to me and my siblings as char putar, 4 sons, instead of 3 sons and a daughter. And I think that that's really helped build my confidence in many ways. But like most South Asian women, I deal with what is imposter syndrome. If people don't know what that is, please look it up. It is a very real experience. We sometimes feel like we don't belong at the tables that we sit at. But the important thing is to always keep moving forward, to always keep motivating yourself. And there will be days when you don't feel motivated at all. And that's okay too. And it's okay to give yourself some slack and say, you know what, it's okay. Today I'm going to just, sit here and just follow. But tomorrow, tomorrow's my deadline for getting up and making my list of things to do, and then getting on with that list of things to do. And that's really how I overcome struggles. The other piece of it is that I don't think of struggles as barriers or something to stop me. I think of them as challenges, something to be overcome. And I think the way that you kind of interpret what these struggles are is literally 90% of the battle. And it's always mind over matter. What other people say oftentimes doesn't really matter, but how you feel about yourself and how you talk to yourself is it really impacts how you behave and your own character and your own motivation, your own ability to overcome those challenges that are in front of you. Is there anything that I wished I knew before I decided to go into law? I love the law. I still love the law. I love litigating. I love standing in the courtroom and making my argument. I love going head to head with counsel. It's the most exciting, the most the biggest adrenaline rush that you can ever get. Every hour of trial time, though, requires 5 hours of prep time beforehand. So there's you got to be in the spirit, be in the game. And so, I just wish I'd gone into it sooner, to be honest. I really, really love the law. Sahiba is asking,
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to mention that we have reached our time limit, but we will answer some more questions. So please keep that in mind while asking your questions. Thank you.
Absolutely. Why don't we ask Anushka? Anushka, you've raised your hand.
Yes, this was in reference to the motivation thing you were talking about, like losing motivation to do work. This is gonna sound dramatic, but I find that really relatable. So do you have some tips to just get that motivation boost back?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a very old-fashioned person. I do the pen and paper thing, and I do the whiteboard and the marker thing. When I'm not feeling very motivated, I give myself 3 very easy tasks that I could do, and I write them on my whiteboard, and then I just go through them and get them done. When you're trying to tell yourself to do something, count to 5 and then get up and do it. Because if you wait, then you're not going to do it. And I feel that the more physically active you are, the more that your mind is active, the more you're able to motivate yourself. I mean, motivation isn't just born out of thin air. It comes with you having to push yourself a little bit and taking those baby steps. So for me, the whiteboard and the marker, 3 things on days that I'm not feeling motivated, 20 things on the days that I'm feeling very, very motivated. And just keeping on when you want to do something, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm doing it. Then you get up and you do it. And that's just it. Oh, and I also box. It's a great stress reliever. And I'm hoping to hopefully have a friendly boxing match in March. I'm training. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think we can get through one more question.
Go for it. You pick, Jessica.
Yeah, one is from Sahiba. She's asking, it is currently hard to find volunteer places. What are some places you have done and what suggest?
That's a good question, Sahiba. I remember, I volunteered anywhere and everywhere. I used to teach art to kindergartners at the Art Gallery of Ontario. I used to volunteer in my local library. And those opportunities, I think, start with your school. Joining organizations like this one, being part of the student council is a really great way. The food bank is always looking. Red Cross is always looking. Salvation Army is always looking. And then there are all of these local organizations within our communities that are always looking for volunteers that are motivated, that are wanting to give back. And then MP offices also. I take volunteers on a very regular basis. I know COVID kind of set us back a little bit, but I have volunteers. I have a youth council. I have a women council. I have every year I have 3 interns that I take from school, and they're usually high schoolers that work in my office over the summer. It's really finding those opportunities is really dependent on what it is that you're interested in finding. And when you're interested in finding something, you're going to find it. Like the way Ankita and Navrupram connected over a text message to create this organization, right? And they were able to do that because both of them were interested to do something about it. So likewise, look at all the opportunities, look through social media, you will find something that drives you.
So I just want to let Jessica know we can take 2 more questions. We can start off with Kushi's question about the reaction.
Wait, wait. I don't think I can. Okay, I see it.
Okay.
Wait, I see it now. What was your reaction when you got elected?
So in 2015, I was a Liberal candidate, and the polls were saying that there was no chance I was going to win. I was up against a huge heavy hitter of the Conservative Party. He was Parliamentary Secretary of Justice, is one of the top donor, fundraisers for the party. Really, really, good, well-connected guy. And on the day of the election, I was a nervous wreck. I mean, at that point, there's nothing you can do. There's no votes you can sway on election day. It's literally just pulling out the vote, making sure that people are going from their homes to the polling stations. And so it was a really, really nerve-wracking 12 hours. And then I finally made my way back. I went and I got my hair done. I voted. And then I went and I sat by the lake for a little bit. I had lunch with some friends. I went and I saw my volunteers that were working on the ground. And then went to the campaign office. And then I curled up in my mother's lap and I waited as the results were being counted. And when we won, it was the first thought that came to my mind was like, oh crap, what did I do? Now what? Because the expectation was never there to win. But I have to say, when I first sat in my seat in the House of Commons, I felt the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. And it was the most humbling experience I have ever had in my life. Just having that seat in the House. And it drives me to do more and more every single day.
That seems like a wonderful experience. Okay, so I believe this is our last question. What are your thoughts on rising pressure on students when it comes about getting selected in universities?
That is a really good question. Parampreet, I think you asked that question.
Yeah.
Yes.
The pressure is definitely on. Okay, the pressure is on from society, the pressure is on from our family, the pressure is on from ourselves, thinking, what are we going to do if we don't make it? But understand, when I was just graduated from undergrad, I applied for a master's program for journalism for 2 years. And I was rejected twice before the 3rd year I applied for law school instead, because I had found other things to do and other things that I was passionate about. And that's absolutely okay. The pressure should never be internalized, folks. Things come and go. Understanding yourself, your time, and motivating yourself rather than putting pressure on yourself are 2 very, very different things. One has a very positive connotations in the way that you talk to yourself. The other has very negative ways in the way that you demean yourself for not achieving what you think people want you to achieve. Getting good grades is one thing. but having that extra experience is something completely different. How do you set yourself apart from candidates is by all of the extra things that you do in school. And when an employer, and I hire so many people, when I look at a resume, I'm like, okay, well, you got this GPA, but this other person had 20 other things they were doing while they had the same GPA, right? And, understand that it's not, things can't be quantified in terms of, whether you're going to make it or not make it, whether you're good enough, not good enough. Everything happens for a reason. All we can do is make sure that we put in our best effort. And if we don't succeed into where it is that we want to go, that's not the end of the line for any of us, right? We try different ways, we try different paths ultimately to get to where we want. And the most important thing is to not beat yourself up for failing. Failure is, I think, one of the predeterminers of what success really looks like. If there was no failure, you wouldn't appreciate the success in your life either. And just rely on people like myself. We're happy to help support you through whatever pressures you are going through, and help guide you as to how you can improve yourself.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Khalid. Just want to pitch in for 1 minute only. Sorry, kids. So Hargun is my daughter. All are my kids. So I intentionally requested Hargun to send me the link so that I can also participate when I knew that you are joining. So the very motivational thoughts you have shared with the students, and the practical way of handling the different kind of emotions that may come in this kind of phase of life. But I believe it was really good. I really enjoyed this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sir. I was going to say that we've reached our time limit, so I'll hand it over to Inkita.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica and Hargan. Before everyone leaves, I just want to give a teaser that we'll be talking about our giveaway, so don't leave just yet. I am so grateful for how this event turned out, and I wish we could stay here all day, but I know that, it's the winter break right now for us students, so it's better that we enjoy before we go back to school, or hopefully we don't do online. So I don't want to take too much time out of your day, and I know, Iqra, you have to go back to a family, so I'm very, very glad that this event was very successful. We learned a lot of stuff, as Hargan's father said, that we got to know a lot of advice, motivational thoughts, and it would definitely help us in these times, especially where, we're kind of confused about what we want to do with our lives. So I'm so glad that you came here today, Iqra Khalid, Miss Iqra Khalid, for helping us with what we want to do with our careers, with our post-secondary choices. And everyone here today, I hope you guys took something away from today's event. So again, if you want to contact us, you can refer back to the social media links that was put in the chat. You can email us, contact us on Instagram, or any of the other platforms that were mentioned there. We could also get you connected with Ms. Iqra Khalid, as she said that she's always here for you guys if you need any, volunteer places, or, you need help with volunteering in the community, or you could volunteer for her even if you live close by in the Mississauga area. So we will get you in contact with her as well. If you guys want to contact us on our Instagram or email, I think Navrupam put that in the chat, and then Miss Iqra Khalid also put her email in the chat, so you guys can take advantage of that. So I'll get to our giveaway, the most exciting part. We have partnered up with a small business in the GTA area named Creative Outlet. So the owner of this business customizes stickers, and she makes these really nice stickers depending on the occasion. So these are the ones we'll be giving away. They're very, very pretty, and they're very high quality, as you can see from this picture. So for those who have attended today as their first event, you guys will be getting 3 entries into the giveaway. If you've already attended an event, then your giveaway entries have been accounted for. If you are a general member and you've attended today's event, then your giveaway entries have been accounted for as well. You have a certain advantage for being a general member, so I'll let you guys know that. The giveaway ends tomorrow. If you would like additional entries, you can check out our social media platforms. To get those additional entries, there are just a few small rules that you need to follow, but that's pretty much it. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to take a quick screenshot of today's panel. So if you guys could turn on your cameras while I stop sharing, that would be amazing. We would like to get as many beautiful faces in this picture as possible. So just give me 10 to 15 seconds while I stop sharing, and let's get those cameras on. Just give me 1 second. Okay, is everyone ready? All right. Okay, I am going to take the screenshot in 3, 2, 1. Okay, awesome. If anyone still wants to turn on their camera, feel free to do so now. I will take another screenshot. Otherwise, thank you so much for attending today's event, everyone. Again, I'm very, very glad that you all came today to connect and network with us and Ms. Iqra Khalid. I'm definitely going to look into the volunteer places that you've mentioned and just volunteering in general. I know that PMC, our organization, is a great way for everyone here to volunteer. So I would definitely encourage you guys to check out our next opportunities. We just put an audience feedback form in the chat. So we really want to improve on our next events. We did this for our last series, the university webinar series, and we use that advice for this event. So we would really appreciate if you guys take the time. It only takes like 30 seconds max to just give us a little bit of feedback for our next event, so it's more accessible and more easier for you. I hope to see you guys in our last event tomorrow. We're inviting a UX and graphic designer. She's very talented, very creative. And if you guys are into the arts, digital arts, I would definitely recommend joining tomorrow's event. It is the last event, unfortunately, but we would love to see everyone there. Again, we're so grateful and we're so thankful for you guys showing up today.